You're listening to the Rogers Sporting Goods Podcast with Patrick Fisher,
Chandler Smith,
and Josh from Outdoor Limits.
In this podcast, we'll touch on everything from gear to ducks to deer, turkey, and fishing. From field to table, let's dive in. You do a lot of waterfowl hunting, though.
I used to do a lot of waterfowl hunting.
Not a little more busy now.
A little more busy now.
Yeah.
This last year was the first time in 3 years that I actually got out and went waterfowling more than 5 times. But before that, it was
I was gonna say
3 to 4 times a week. I mean, I saved all my vacation days for waterfowl hunting. So
I feel like that's when I see you the most at the stores.
Yeah.
During duck or goose season, you be in there.
Yeah, getting all the gear
figuring
that I need
out
for
what
the
you
year.
need. You do. Is that your thing?
Yep.
Waterfowl.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm a because people always ask, Pat, you get out duck hunting, and not that I don't like to, and I love duck and goose hunting and the thrill of it and doing it, but one time, and 2, my passion's bow hunting first, so maybe I just need to start bow hunting geese.
That'd be a lot of fun.
I'm telling you,
Or duck.
or ducks. Like do a field hunt and just set up a panel blind and I don't know,
I got
something. But
funny story on that. I was scouting for some waterfowl spots, and I seen this field. It was right outside Kansas City, just loaded with ducks and geese. So I figured out who the property owner was, and it went back to Utah. So I get a hold of them. It's a Mormon church, and called and asked if I could hunt it, and they said yes, and I could only use a bow.
okay,
And I was like, well, I'm actually going to be waterfowl hunting, not deer hunting. And they're like, yeah, we know. And I was like, told my buddy, I was like, maybe we should start getting into bow hunting for waterfowl because this is a killer spot.
right.
But we
Maybe you'd
didn't
be
end up doing
more
it.
apt to get places to hunt.
Yes.
If you said you were bow hunting instead of going in guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So as always, my name is Patrick. I'm the hunting waterfowl manager at Rogers Sporting Goods, and all the way down on the end, Mr. Josh Peck from Outdoor Limits, as well as Rogers and FA, and you probably see him all over the place now. So, as we were talking earlier, he got a bunch of videos if you need to see how something's. He can give you a little product review. He like a video Yelp.
I'm going to be checking you out.
He like a Yelp reviews with videos though. So
Or you can just watch a hunting video
or
and
watch
be entertained.
the hunting videos. Yeah. What do you got? You were doing some your kayaks or boats.
Yeah, I got
setups.
got the layout boats.
Yeah.
Do some kayak
Doing some
stuff.
build outs on some yaks. As we'll get into here in a second. I know you're doing some videoing with the dog.
Yep.
Working on that, which brings us to what we're doing today. So, to my immediate right is a guy I've known for a long time. We went to the same high school. His name's Chase Quarles. He's out of Kearney, Missouri. And to his right is Davis Merrick. Are you from Independence, Kansas?
Yes, sir.
And you reside out there right now?
Yes, sir.
And both of them come to us from CWK Gun Dogs. Anyway, so we're going to get into all the waterfowling and gun dogs and training and all the stuff these cats have available to you and talk a little bit about waterfowl dogs and have fun with it. And then the favorite part, we're going to go outside and
Play with some
mess
dogs.
around with some dogs today. So
This
that's
is
the
a
only
good-
reason I had you here. I just wanted you to bring your dogs.
That's why we can't
I really don't care.
train on a new field.
I really don't care to talk to you.
Yeah.
This is a podcast that could probably go on for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh man, we'd just
Subjects
be
we've
rocking
got.
and rolling. There's so many avenues like
yeah.
you can go down and but yeah, I've known Chase been coming in the store for a while and but obviously we knew each other before that and so but like we said, he likes the waterfowl side and we started hinting around, I don't know, seems like a couple months ago now, but I don't know. We just keep trying to get them in here and talk a little bird dog stuff. So, anyways, give us a little background. Like, obviously, you're into waterfowling, both of you are, but the background and maybe how this came about, and where it started, or were you doing something else, and you're like, hey, let's transition into this, or how long you've been training and doing this type of stuff. But
So I grew up waterfowl hunting. My family did more of the upland, and then the quail started disappearing. Well, by the time I could carry a gun, we'd transitioned over from Brittany's to Labs and duck hunting. So I hunt with my dad and my uncle and my uncle's friends, and they had dogs, and watching the dogs work was always cool and part of the aspect of waterfowl hunting, So I fell in love with waterfowl hunting with dogs then, and as I got older, I think I bought a dog in junior high, attempted to train it off of a garage sale book, do-it-yourself garage sale book dog.
Okay. Training for dummies.
Basically. Yeah. It didn't work out that well, and then the next dog I got, it worked out. It was more her than it was me, I'll tell you that. But just seeing the work that you put in, and then going hunting, and then the dog going and getting that bird, and watching the anticipation of that dog, watching the air. And you could be an hour, 2 hours in without seeing anything, and that dog's just still ears up looking, and it's just a different aspect. Anybody that's ever experienced that knows. But so that's when I had that dog, and then got another dog in college, and then life takes you down different avenues. So I ended up in Oklahoma working for some engineering firms, and I was traveling a lot. I mean, Puerto Rico, everywhere, nonstop.
Right.
So I got an opportunity at a dog down there, and got him into a trainer's hands. And 4 or 5 months go by, and it's time to go get that dog. And you're $4 or $5 grand deep into training, and the trainer tells you, well, this dog, it didn't make it. He's no good. And I was real upset, because I was like, well, when could you have told me that? Because I think a lot of guys understand that not every dog's going to make it. It's part of it.
Yeah.
And so I started asking around a lot of guys that I waterfowl hunt down in Oklahoma, and they kind of had the same story. Same story. So I hooked up with a guy that trains with some guys in Arkansas, and we would go training, and that dog I had that was, failed, we'd go train every weekend, and we got this dog up to where it could hunt. It wasn't the best, but she did pretty good.
And this was the dog that you had sent off to the, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so we started training every weekend, and then it kind of popped in my head. I'm like, I really enjoy this. I love this. And I want to do what I love as a job. And so it kind of transitioned into that from there, and just saying, hey, we can do this different, right? We can be more transparent with our customers. We can be more honest. And so we started doing that, and after a year, I mean, it was just phone call after phone call after phone call, and I just ended up quitting my job about 2 years ago, to do this full time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of.
Were you doing it a little bit while you still had the other job, and then it's like, hey, this is taking off. We just.
Yeah, it was insane. It was get up in the morning, clean kennels, train dogs, do your 8-hour job, come home, clean kennels, train dogs, dark.
Yeah.
And that went on for about 2 years. I never left more than 45 minutes from Kansas City, because you got live animals, you're taking care of it.
Yeah.
And it finally just got to the point where I was like, I can't do both anymore.
It's full time now. We gotta. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I got started in it. Just always loved doing it. Didn't know it could ever be a possibility as a job, and then.
And when you went full time, is that where CWK then started? Like, that's kind of the transition point. Like, hey, or.
So I did Chasing Wings Kennels, and it still exists, obviously. But this past year, we decided to open CWK Gun Dogs,
Okay.
expand the territory,
Gotcha.
have multiple campuses, and I just found guys that just love doing it too.
Right.
So
Is that where? How long have you
So
guys known each other?
a little around a year.
A year.
Yep.
Okay.
So I came into it from didn't grow up hunting much, but was like in the area I live. I mean, it's just what most people do. So
Independence, Kansas, more rural.
yeah,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
I mean, our population's probably 450 kids in our high school
Total.
total.
Okay.
So not very
I ain't
big.
got Carney beat.
that's from like grade school though, isn't it?
No, that's from
Is that like
freshman.
freshman
Oh, yeah.
through senior?
Yeah.
Your high school's that big?
So like a graduating class is maybe 100.
Give or take. I think
Give
mine
or
was.
take.
I think mine was right at 60.
Oh yeah. So I think we were triple that when I graduated. It was like 220 or something like that.
Yeah.
But, and it's more now. But yeah. So small town.
Yeah.
Everybody hunts, fishes, outdoor.
I mean, you have your city, and then you have your.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not much in between.
Right.
But no, so I had started going hunting with a few buddies, and they got me hooked on it, and I knew that it was something I wanted to keep doing, and so hunted all through high school. Me and my buddy, we went half in on a dog. We purchased from a local breeder. We purchased a regular General Lab, kind of the same avenue Chase was talking about.
Yeah.
Sent it off to a trainer, came back, and I thought I had a duck dog. Well, then actually, it's kind of funny. So I was looking to get Eric, who's not here. We talked about, and he has a really good deer management area behind his house or whatnot, and I ended up getting permission from him to do that, to deer hunt back there, and we talked about gun dogs and stuff like that. And
Okay.
I thought I had my duck dog, and he's like, "Well,
I got the prize champion right here.
yeah, far from it."
Uh-huh.
But so we did that, and he's like, "Well, come over and let's check him out and whatnot." And I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
sweet." Well, I got there and realized that, okay, this is a house dog, and their dogs are gun dogs. So Eric's son Creighton had a rough couple times with a couple puppies, and finding the right one, and they found Chase here in Kearney, and ended up getting linked up with him, getting their dog. And then it just kind of kept, feeding off of each other. So then I came up here to one of Chase's training days, and started learning from Chase, learning from Eric, and just realized that this is what I want to do, and it's fun, and
Yeah.
it allows me, it allows me to train during the summer and the off season of hunting, and then in hunting season be able to
Yeah,
hunt.
you develop that passion over time. You're just
Sure.
like, I mean, who doesn't like being around dogs? Like,
Yeah.
now, and mine aren't trained at all, but still, just having the dogs, like, I don't know if mine could fetch a stick right now. So, I thought I wanted to when I first got them. I
Yeah.
got golden doodles.
Oh, okay.
They're a fashion dog. No, but they've got the golden retriever, and they can be used. I mean, if you train them properly, I'm sure you could. They're not going to be like that bloodline, like
Sure.
come from, but they'd probably be suitable. But the time you guys talk about, like Josh, do you have a lab? Mm-hmm. And how old is it? A girl or a boy?
Yeah, she's a little over 2 years old. She
Okay.
turned 2 in December.
And how long now have you been into this training process? Just like, and this is right. I think we talked about this was like a new thing for you and
Yeah.
getting into it. So what? How long have you been now doing that with your dog?
Well, I picked her up in January of 21. So
Gotcha.
training started like a week after I brought her home.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
With your full-time job too on top of that,
yeah,
right? So it's like,
it's really not as bad as people think it's going to be. Especially with the basic obedience and stuff when they're puppies, you got to keep everything short. And so we worked on house training and kennel training and all that for first week, and then we started working into obedience training after she kind of got used to the home environment.
right.
But yeah, like for a few months there, we were just working on obedience. So we were just going out in the mornings and the evenings or whatever. I had 10, 15 minutes to spare.
Doing the basic
we
stuff, just getting that down.
sit, place, heel,
Right.
recall,
Gotcha.
Just working on basic obedience.
Has she? I think I remember. Has she been out yet
Hunting?
on her first hunt?
Yeah, she had her first season this year.
This was her first full season.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
it was.
The trials and tribulations.
Oh, you have
of,
no idea, man.
Of like, right, getting.
Freshman year.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys get the idea going. You've got it started. Then you meet each other, and then you develop the passion, and it's like, hey, this is you probably got other people now. Like, hey, can you train our dog? Or I would imagine you start getting the list of people, and
Yeah.
so kind of take us through. Now you're doing this full time to where we are today. Like, what's that look like?
Like, what's a day look like?
Yeah.
for
So
me?
well, let's do.
How many dogs are you guys training?
Yeah, what's yeah, so and we'll dive into each one of these, but like so it's CWK Gun Dogs,
Yep.
which I'll mention this a few times, but like you can go online and go to CWKGunDogs.com to find these guys and see what they're all about. But so as we've talked, like your camp, like the KC camp or whatever. So it's basically, I call it Kearney, but is it like in between Liberty and Kearney, kind of in that general vicinity?
Yeah, what I tell guys is, and this is where it's funny because this is Roger's podcast, but like I've had two guys. One guy was in North Carolina, the other guy he works in the White House, and I told them both. I said, I'm 4 miles from Roger Sporting Goods, if you know where that is, and both their ears perked up, and they said, "Yeah, we're gonna come."
So it's
and
easier
we want to be
to
in
go-
the store. Yeah.
So 4 miles from the store. So if you know where Roger Sporting Goods is in Liberty, Missouri, we're just boom.
4 miles.
He's
yeah.
right there. And Davis, your camp is the South Camp, and that's Independence, Kansas.
Yep.
So
It's actually if you were to type it in on a maps or something,
Yeah.
it'd come up Jefferson, Kansas.
okay. So from like Kansas City area, like how far of a drive is that?
I'm exactly 3 hours south of here.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. But for people in that area,
For
or
the Oklahoma corner.
is
the
that kind of
Arkansas
why you
corner.
have the two camps?
Yeah.
Right. So people can have if it's easier for them to go to
Yeah. So
one over the other.
we do a lot of puppies, so just reaching the different areas of Arkansas, Oklahoma, and obviously people still fly and drive from
Right.
far distances. But and another thing is I have 12 dogs right now, and I know there's guys that carry a lot more dogs than that. But for me, that's kind of
That's a good.
that's a good number for me because
Yeah.
we do so much boarding at our facility as well for the local area. So
Gotcha. 12 dogs that you're gun training
Yeah.
to be bird dogs.
yeah, on our campus.
And so, like, when I went on I see like services, puppies, training, started dogs. So, one of the things we were talking about before we got on here was the puppy aspect. Like, take us through that bloodline and kind of your guys' philosophy and the standard that you guys are trying to develop.
Sure.
That we talked about, because it's really interesting to hear when you start thinking about it versus maybe what people have seen.
Yeah.
And maybe, they've always heard of these other people, and it's like, okay, why CWK? Like,
Sure.
So let's just go through that breeding process.
So, I mean, genetics are everything. We talked a little earlier about how we're 2-3 generations in on NFL players and basketball players.
Yeah, that
and
was a
they're-
great, like parallel.
Yeah, example of what genetics really are. I mean, genetics are. I mean, you look at the first thing the doctor asks is your family history and stuff like that because it's all about genetics. So we see that with dogs, and so our standard when we breed is a dog has to obviously be able to go get titled, has to be able to go run hunt tests and field trials, obviously, and that's where most kennels take it. Well, the issue that I have with that, and I've seen it, is I know, these stud dogs that are completely titled out and they don't produce consistently on the gun dog side of things, right? So we started thinking, well, how can we tweak this a little bit to be different? So our dogs have to have the drive in the training field, have to have that same drive and that same concentration in the duck blind. And so they have to pick up 100 birds we have to look at them and see what their drive looks like in the field and at training. And if they accomplish all those things, then they go into our breeding program. And if they don't go into our breeding program.
Okay.
So it's difficult to find those dogs, but again, when you do that, you kick a product to your customer, that's bar none, and they tell their buddies, and their buddies tell their buddies. And I will tell you, a guy that trains a lot of dogs that come from reputable kennels, training purposes, it's a breeze. These dogs that don't, it's night and day genetics.
Yeah, when you start getting, like you said, we're 3 generations in of litters now in training and breeding, and when those genetics just keep passing down and they start stacking up on each other, and it's like you get 3, 5, you guys still doing this 10 years down the road, you can only imagine that every dog has had that drive, not only in the field and the training, but in the blind and the speed and the awareness and the things you're looking for. And like we talked about, making that parallel, like when you look at Josh, like whether it's a guy or a girl going to some D1 college, right? And there's some all-star athlete. And what does ESPN or somebody always do? They're like, yeah, they're genetics were in the family, or they talk about mom was a
then they keep
freak
going.
volleyball athlete, and dad was the all-star, track athlete, and now their son is carrying on, but it makes sense. And you see it more now than ever because those genetics just keep passing down, and you got two athletic parents and an older sister. They're, the siblings are thrown in there too, and it's like, well, no wonder you just. Not only do you grow up around it, and that's part of it too,
Oh, sure.
It's like Mahomes. Well, he grew up around the clubhouses and playing sports, and so most likely he was going to get into it.
Yeah.
But he also, not only do you get the physical traits, but you get that, it's just that something else, that awareness and how to operate and that drive to, just part of it. So it's a good parallel of trying to explain where you guys try to take your breeding to a different level.
Yeah, Freddie King said recently, I think I heard him say it recently anyways, that these dogs are going to start coming out running blinds, so there's a lot of truth to that, because we are so deep into really good breedings that, these dogs are just exceptional.
Sure.
Compared to the dogs that I grew up with in the 90s and running around with a lot of the guys that hunted in the Kearney area, it was, we thought it was so cool for a dog to just go get a duck and bring it back to us, and
Right.
we didn't have any standards. We didn't, as long as that dog brought the duck back, we were happy.
And so how many dogs are at the South Camp?
4, and I have 2 more getting dropped off. I'm just now going full time.
And that's for the training part.
Yes, we don't do any boarding where I'm at.
But is the breeding done at either one, or
all the males and females are with them too. So
and then the
So we
breeding will
house
take
them.
place. Now, the breeding comes from people's dogs that get dropped off, and they're like, "Hey, we want to breed," or how does that?
no, so we own all the breeding lines,
Okay,
and so that their campus is they do training there, but we have the whelping center there. We have a new whelping center getting built, and they train right now. I don't know. You guys
And
hold
what's the-
4 to 6 dogs at a time?
Yeah.
and what's the whelping center for people that? Is that just like the birthing center for the breeding palace?
Yeah, it's the hospital.
Okay,
Right? So,
yeah, right.
So we're building a new one of those just for functionality.
Right.
Easy cleaning, healthier environments, things like that.
Sure.
We have a vet down there working with us, so so that's going in, but that's where we're going to be whelping all of our puppies. So
Okay.
we talked about maybe doing some litters here, but we just think it'd be easier if we just kept it at one location.
And I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, so it looks like you do have one litter possibly coming mid-May.
Yep.
From a couple dogs, Nate and Kate, which I believe on the website, like you can click on each dog's name. So I think Nate and Kate are on there.
Yep.
So you can click on them and see what they look like or whatever.
Yep.
And then those will be bred, and then people can purchase, a gun dog or have you guys train it,
Sure.
I would imagine.
Yep.
A lot of them have, I'd say 50% of people that buy puppies from us want their dog trained as well. And that, like I said, when somebody signs up like that, we get pretty excited because we know that the training's going to be a really nice dog. So
Makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
So and when you see it for 5 years, it's just like, man, it's evident, guys. It's evident what the product is. If you develop it and create this product for your customers, they're going to get a really nice dog.
Right. You just keep refining it and fine tuning and each bloodline and it just keeps translating into
Sure.
and there might be a rarity like anything in the world.
Oh, sure.
You might have an outlier, but overall you're going to see those traits keep being passed down.
The crazy thing about breedings is there's so many different little attributes that a dog has, not physically, but just like mentally. Like what's their temperament? Are they soft, or do you have to really get on them to get that correction done? And those are the kind of things that I'm going to be looking for with my next dog. So after getting my first dog, it was during COVID. Everybody was buying puppies. I knew I wanted a dog.
Right.
I knew I wanted a hunting dog. And
Yeah.
dude, it was incredibly difficult to find a pup. But I managed to get one. I kind of rushed into it a little bit. Didn't do my homework, but that was before I really knew anything about it. I was like, I just want a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know that there's different little kind of mental things that go on with these dogs, whether, how quick are they going to pick up on things? Are they food motivated or are they not food motivated?
Right.
All those different things.
Yeah. You're learning all them
Dude,
little secrets.
there's way more to it than you might think.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is so you said that only certain dogs then, as long as they show all these different attributes and things y'all are looking for, then you'll put them into the training program.
The breeding program.
The breeding program.
Yeah.
So it's, like 100 birds, right?
Yeah, pick up 100 birds in the field.
Yeah. But what are some of the basic attributes you look for? Like whether it's temperament, or are you looking for agility or speed, or does that really matter?
Or like an off switch when they're at home. Those kind of things.
Yeah. So, like the biggest thing I look for is drive. Like that's kind of the top of my list. Because a dog without drive is anybody that's ever hunted with a dog without drive knows that it can be a hair pull around the blind. So, and I personally like the hard-headed dogs. I like the dogs with high drive.
You'd like my dog.
Yeah, they take correction real well. They want to do the task. You're not begging them to do the task, right? So
I mean, with a dog with high drive, I mean, you can always correct them to not take it out of them necessarily, but you can correct them to mind and perform it the way you want them to,
because they
And you
want to
can't
do it already.
Exactly. With a dog that doesn't have that, I mean, your everything is like
It's like, come on.
Yeah, you're
What do we?
encouraging them.
Let's do this already.
yeah,
Well, fetch.
it's like Eeyore.
It's like me going to the gym.
Yeah, it's like me going to the gym 6 times the last 2 years.
Right. So I'm like,
I'm still paying for that gym membership.
yeah. I didn't want to show my face in there.
Yeah.
I'd like to cancel.
Yeah.
Did you start?
Who are you?
I've never seen you in here.
You must come in the afternoon.
They got 3 new front counter people. Like, dang. Yeah, so that's the breeding side. So the puppies services, that's just the purchasing, like if someone wanted to purchase
Yeah.
puppies.
Hey,
Is
we
that
call
what that
pup.
means?
Yeah.
Yep. Training. What was the started dogs?
So every once in a while, we'll get dogs that we train, and either the guy who dropped the dog off can't take the dog for whatever reason. That doesn't happen often, but sometimes we'll just take dogs, start them, and sell them as started dogs.
Okay. It's
if that
kind
makes
of
sense.
Yeah, it's already going.
Yeah, like we'll hold a pup or two back from the litter, and
It's like a used car with low mileage.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a guaranteed product, right? So,
like, it's
so like
working.
a started dog is
Yes.
pretty much like, I mean, those dogs are seeing marks. Those dogs are seeing marks. They have obedience. I mean, they're gonna do it, and somebody can train them all the way out.
You can get that finished.
So started is basically like basic gun dog skills.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
like marks out to 40, 50 yards.
Yeah.
Not really quite getting into whistle stops and blinds yet.
yeah, I mean, I have
I mean,
my
every started dog
started
can be different.
my started dog is a little higher than, because if you go online and everybody's like, oh, this is a started dog, and then you go look at it and it's like, so
Just a
it
dog with
can
obedience.
sit and
Yeah.
stay, and like that's not started. So there's variations there of what we call
That's
started.
PetSmart obedience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Dude, have you ever
obedient
been in
dog.
there when they're doing those
I know.
things? It's hilarious. Man.
Yeah.
I'm like a basic started dog to me should be running doubles.
Double marks.
Yeah. If I'm selling a started dog and classifying it as started, then they're running doubles of some sort. Obedience has to be perfect. Force fetch has been done, things like that. It's like you get the product and you can take it to the field and use it. You don't have to buy all the parts
It's
and build
like-
your shotgun. It's like, hey, the
But you're not
shotgun's
going
ready
to go out and win a master hunter title.
No, sure.
No. Well, I mean, we've had a few started dogs where, I mean, they're probably only a month away from going and getting
Oh, wow.
the high titles. And again, every dog's different.
But they're just not that finished.
yeah.
What's
It goes back to the casting and stuff like that. We're just not there yet. Because then you have a finished dog, right? So we have sold a few finished dogs too.
Okay.
But they're we usually hold on to our finished dogs. So
take me through a so I'd like a dog trained, hasn't, whether it's one you're doing or one dropped off, let's just go with one that you're going to train. I know this is a long process. So how long does it take?
Yeah.
From start to finish. What is it? 8 weeks, a year, for you guys? And then what's the steps look like?
yeah, so I'm probably the worst guy as far as business goes because I'm so transparent with my customers that I literally do everything month to month to month to month. So I don't have a program to where it's like, hey, you drop your dog off for 6 months and then you come get that dog in 4 to 6 months, regardless of what the quality of the dog is. You pay me and you pick the dog up. So the first month we do obedience. The second month we do force fetch. The third month we do basic gun dog. And then from there, you can go as long or short as you want. So every 15 days, 30 days, I have the customer come out, see their dog, after we get past the force fetch stage. And if they like what they see and it's like, hey, this is the product you want, great. Take the dog home. Don't invest any more money, because I know money's tight for everybody.
Sure.
So, and again, it goes back to why I got into
You're doing
this.
that monthly membership.
Yeah, well, it's not even a membership. It's
I
just
know,
as long as you want to be here and you're happy with the product,
Yeah,
right?
we can keep this going.
Yeah, and of course they're going to ask questions. Well, if you had them for another month, what do you think you could do? And
Right,
then
what can I see?
Yes. What would I expect in another month? And then I tell them. And where I am really bad is I get to talking to these guys, and I know their passion. I mean, just like you're doing your own dog. I tell them, I'm like, if you have 10 to 15 minutes, you can get through obedience, you can get through force fetch, and then for the most part, you can get through basic gun dog. If you have 30 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week, DIY, you can do this. So I'll end up talking, I would say 30 to 40% of my customers to go do it, and I know it's less money for me, and I get that part, but when they come to training days and the smile on their face when they run the setup that we have, and you can look at that guy or that girl and they did that, and for me that's like my that's it, that's my buzz, watching somebody do it themselves, because we think that it's this complicated, it's all day long, I don't have time, because that's the first thing you always hear is I don't have time for this, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, let me break it down for you.
You can make time to do it.
And so once I break it down to the customer, they're like, you really think I can do it? And I'm like, I'm here if you don't have any time. Like if you're traveling, you got vacations, things like that, that's why I'm here. And so I end up talking to, like I said, probably 30 or 40% of my customers to do it themselves, or, maybe I'll do the obedience and the force fetch and then they go do the gun dog part. But, just watching, we just had our last training day
And
What's
I
a
had this-
training day?
So a training day is like it's kind of a private group of somebody who's bought a dog from us, or we've trained one of their dogs. Then we have an opportunity for them to come out once a month. We do a setup. We help them with anything they're having difficulties with or have questions with. It's just a group of people that come together with the same love and passion for the outdoors and training dogs and waterfowl hunting. And it becomes this network of guys it'll be a Wednesday. And, I got drawn into Bob Brown. Well, they got so many people to call to fill those spots, or they find a massive field in, Platte City full of geese, and they're calling 4 or 5 guys in that group to go. It's just, it's like a family.
Yeah.
But the last training day we had, there's a husband and a wife, and she's kind of really taken the training into her hands. And this dog hit both she hit both her marks and her blind. And me afar back watching, and I had done the training on this dog, but obviously there's upkeep,
Yes.
and it'd been a year and a half, and watching that dog hit, I mean, it was probably the dog of the day. And watching that was like one of the coolest things.
Right.
Because you're educating your customers on how to continue this at home and to fall in love with it. And for me, it was like, man, this is so
Not
cool.
only
This is
are
why
you-
we started this.
Yeah, you're excited because you see that the fruits of your labor and what happened. And then she's probably like, I'm sure the excitement on her face of being able to take what you did, continue it. And I'm sure it's so exciting to have your dog just do exactly what you need it to do.
Yeah.
Being the owner, it's like,
Well, not only that, and being dog of the day and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It was,
yeah.
and knowing where she had started. Her name's Ragna. Shout out Ragna. But where she started and some of the hiccups we had with her, and just to see where she's at and
Yeah.
know that they're doing their work at home, it makes me happy, man.
So the obedience start, the basic start, is that like the normal every day? Sit, stay, heel. Like, is that stuff you're teaching?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little more than that as
Leash.
yeah, so we do, you're doing your heel walk, you're doing sit on, whistle vocal, you're doing recall on whistle vocal hand signals, remote sits, place, some of the gun dog basics,
Okay.
which looks a little bit different than, just your typical obedience training on a household dog.
Then Pat's golden doodle at home.
Than Pat's golden doodle.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is the same, but it does come back to, just like you said, I mean, it really, if you got the time and you got the passion, I mean, anybody can do it. I really believe that. Where a trainer comes in is there is different dog personalities that I really feel like I've pulled more out of a dog just based on experience on personalities. But for the most part, specifically obedience, that you can do it. I mean, but guys just get so scared. And I remember being that guy that was scared,
Right.
So I don't want to mess my dog up. This is my dog. I want him to be a hunting dog. And so then you build it up, and then you get kind of nervous.
It all comes down to the foundation, man.
Yes.
Once you build that foundation and you keep that solid,
And just
golden.
work on stuff from there.
Yeah. Well,
Build that up.
learning how to learn is a skill, right? Like these dogs actually picking up a command and learning it is a skill. And so back to the foundation, then that foundation carries, through force fetch, past force fetch into basic gun dog. It just carries itself that this dog, I mean, it looks at you and it trusts you of what you're teaching it, and you build this bond. And from an 8-week-old puppy to a 2-year-old, it's just night and day difference.
And what's force fetch? What's that process?
So force fetch is something that a lot of guys aren't comfortable with doing, specifically like with their own dog. They think it gets nasty and messy, and it really doesn't if done the right way. But force fetch is what it sounds like. So you're forcing the dog to pick up a bird or a doken, and to deliver to hand, right? So you don't have those issues of, and we've all seen it, the dog that, because it's the dogs I grew up with, they brought the duck back. And some dogs, they drop that duck wherever they came out of the water. So it could be 40 yards
up, and that's where they drop the duck, right? Or you have dogs that just drop it wherever they want. Back to you have a golden doodle. You said, well, my wife has a golden retriever, and it's not a gun dog. This is her baby, and he likes to play fetch.
Okay.
He likes to carry it halfway back, drop it, come to you, wag his tail. Oh, are you so happy? Are you happy that I did that? And I'm like, that really wasn't that impressive, Jax. But we'll go out and we'll get that bumper and we'll throw it again.
Right.
And, but force fetch is delivered to hand.
Okay.
The duck itself in the blind.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. And when do you do like we sell the do you specifically use the Dokens
Yes.
bumpers? Like we sell them at the store too. Like
Yeah.
do you train them on mallards and the goose one, or do you do them?
I've never used the goose one, but
It's a big one.
We actually just
I've got
picked up
one.
a goose one at our location.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it's a
month ago.
giant.
It's huge.
It's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've got one of those, and my dog, she's 47 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, she's kind of small. We've done some stuff with geese, but not much. And she's always kind of struggled with actually like holding on to it.
Sure.
And so I got one of those, and it's been good. She's snow geese, no problem. Honkers, we'll keep working on that. But
Yeah.
no, those big Canada Dawkins,
Yeah, they're massive.
they're massive.
Well,
but-
and that comes back to your dog's drive, right? So if you build the drive in this dog, and you can tell the difference between a dog with drive and a dog without drive. It's pretty obvious. You have to come out to a training day sometime.
Oh, yeah,
and
I wanna
see
check
some
it
different
out.
Dogs, but
Yeah.
those dogs with like his dog with that drive, I mean, if he shot a massive honker, your dog's going to get in it, and even if it can't pick it up, it's dragging it back. Like it's gonna get it back.
Well, so what she was doing is, this was when in November we shot a honker on the Platte River. So she runs out, tries to pick it up, can't get it, can't figure out. I think she just couldn't figure out like where to grab it. But then she just started pulling feathers, so had
Yeah.
to go intervene on that one.
Was that her first big goose?
One of the first, yeah.
Yeah.
She hasn't been seen like 4 or 5 of them. So.
Yeah. You almost need to videotape the first big honker of every dog's life because it can get pretty comical. Especially like I'm a big fan of 65 pounds and smaller labs, but it can get pretty comical.
Yeah.
The first couple times.
And then do you do the gun part of it too? Like where you're using blanks and
Oh,
the
sure.
sound and
Yeah.
that's a whole different
That's
Sure.
extremely important.
level,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I mean, you go to your basic gun dog. That's where you do gun intro if it hasn't been done already. Which a lot of customers, I would say almost every customer that drops off hasn't worked on any high noise during feeding or anything like that. So it's decoys, it's duck calls, it's a lot of stuff that you don't think about. But this happens in a blind. There'll be 5 guys in a blind, and there's 5 guys shooting, right? I have a guy right now that just brought me a dog, and he said, "Hey, when I'm hunting with my dog and it's just me shooting, dog's fine. If there's 2-3 guys out there and boom, 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 that dog will tuck its tail and hide." Well,
That's not good.
no, it's not good, but it just goes to show you that the dog was not introduced probably properly to the gun noises. So we're taking him through all those scenarios and closing the gap, and now he's an all-star. So, but that's just one aspect of, hey, that's the same thing, but it's different. It's a little bit more. So there's a lot that goes into waterfowl hunting. I mean, decoys everywhere, the boat rides.
Yeah, maneuvering through the decoys and
Where's the dog going to sit this hunt, right? So you teach these dogs that, hey, on a training setup, for instance, like you'll put them in a mow marsh stand, and then the very next one, you'll set up on a, you call them dry boats, but it looks like you're hunting from a boat, and you'll just set them up at the end of the boat or on both ends of the boat. So you teach these dogs that, hey, just because we're hunting doesn't mean you're always at my heel, doesn't mean you're always in this mow marsh. Different setups calls for different
right.
places for that dog to be, and that's all new. So, yeah, it's just it's a
And
lot
are
of
you
fun.
using like dummy launchers, or do you have someone like when you do the blanks or whatever, when you're doing we fake shot a bird
like the wingers?
and then yeah, so what's that look like? So you do the fake shooting, and then are you launching out
So we
dummy
use
or
we use Gunners Up, and you'll see we use their
wingers for the
wingers.
videos.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
set those up here in a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, they're essentially what you're thinking. They're remote wingers that launch. So when we're training a dog, that they can launch. And,
so they're set up out there, and you're remote
we're-
launching them
Yeah,
on your whatever remote or whatever after you do the sound,
correct.
and then you just start. I'm sure the process, start with the sound or whatever, and then it's when you say mark, that's just one. We're doing one bird
Yeah, a
to
single fall.
start. And working on that dog retrieving the one.
Sure.
Whether it's field and you do water.
Sure.
You do both marks.
Yeah.
And then it's okay, we got 2 down. So now they've got to get
Yeah, so then you get to your 2-3 falls, so you start to get into your memories with these dogs. So you have multiple wingers, obviously.
and you
set
got to
up for
remember
that.
where they're at.
Yeah, and I have. Well, if I do the setup, I better remember. But
Yeah, when you set out blinds and you don't have like a bucket or a post or something, and the grass is a little tall, sometimes
Because then
sometimes it's easy to forget.
So
where
we
where
use
it is.
orange ribbon and orange flags, right? And I'm colorblind, and I kid
training
you
day.
not. There's times where I'll be running, and I have to have like if I'm training by myself solo, I get a big orange flag that I can see.
Mm-hmm.
But like training setups or when we hook up and do some training together, you do the little yard flags or whatever.
That's a good idea. I've
And
never thought to do that.
I have to have someone stand behind me just
'cause-
in case if I take my eye off of it, and if the dog goes left or right and I'm trying to get that dog back to that blind, my eyes will go back to it. Well, green and orange for me, like it's just like, so I'll have to have a guy behind me and he'll be like, it's right there to the left of the dog right there. Left. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm casting over.
Yeah.
And then you're doing hand signals.
Yeah.
Is that in correlation with a whistle sound or not always?
I mean, not really. I mean, using the whistle to initially get them to stop and sit and focus on you, and then
Okay.
your hand signal is going to be your command.
Gotcha.
So with that, one issue I've been running into with my dog is I'll give her a cast, but then she'll just sit there, it's like something new. She didn't used to do that.
She'll sit there after her whistle sit.
I'll sit her on a blind, cast her, and then she'll just sit there and look at me.
And not take a direction.
No. Sometimes she'll do it, sometimes she won't.
It may be a visual thing. She's
That's-
not seeing you, or she's second guessing you.
That's what I'm thinking too. So
How far is your distance?
we're doing like a 200-yard blind.
And that's when she is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using vocals with it?
Mm-hmm.
And she's still not responding to your vocals with it?
Yeah. So I've gone back to doing 3-handed casting
Yeah,
drills in the
just
backyard.
bring it back and then stretch it back out. Bring it
Yeah.
back and stretch it back out. A common hiccup.
Dude,
Frustrating.
it's this dog, man. I spent 4 months working on delivery with her
Yeah.
because of a keep away problem.
Yeah.
But we got that figured out.
You think that was like developed at the puppy stage with like a sock or anything or a toy or?
No?
Is that the toys can probably be a problem?
Yeah. Well, I mean, anything can become a problem. A shoe
Yeah.
can become a problem if not properly dealt with at a
Yeah.
young age. Because a lot of people like to do the tug of war thing, and so we get dogs dropped off all the time with behaviors like you wouldn't imagine that have been going on for 6 months, right? Since 8 weeks old to 6 months old. And then we have to kind of iron those problems out, and that dog's like, well, I can't do that now. I'm like, no, you can't do that now.
Yeah.
But a lot of this can be corrected. But is
Oh,
there
yeah.
some times where like you've let the dog go on too long with a problem?
Yeah, especially if the dog's older. Like I don't take dogs older than 3 years old, and there's probably people listening right now that are like, oh my gosh, 3 years old, I would never take that. I usually don't either, but if people come to me desperate and I just tell them the odds, and we
Right.
still have success though.
And we'll
I mean,
work. We'll we're
Yeah.
gonna go through the process and try it out. But
Sure.
I mean, there are times where maybe the dog or whatever, for whatever reason, they've had a. If you're wanting it to release and you've played tug of war with it for 3 years, and
Oh,
it
sure.
thinks that's
And
what
then-
you're supposed to be doing and it never lets go.
I mean, and then again, every dog is its own dog. I mean,
Yeah.
so like you can have a dog that did everything right as a puppy, and just getting it to that next step is going to be harder than some. And then you
Uh-huh.
can have like I had a dog that was a little over 2.5 years old now. I mean, a blind man could have trained it. It just
Yeah.
it just wanted to learn so much that it just. I mean, you do it, pick it up, do it, pick it up. I mean, it
Gotcha.
One thing I've learned by training my own dog is that there's so many highs and lows when training, where you have a good day and then the next day is just garbage.
It's like a full moon.
Man, I don't know how many times I've come home from training and told my wife, like, she did this today. Here we are. I'm gonna sell this dog. Not really,
Yeah.
but there's so many different highs and lows, and so as a professional trainer, how do you guys combat that? And like, what's your strategy, or do you just like expect to have good days and bad days?
I mean, the way I kind of look at it is every day they're learning something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not always going to be like me as a trainer. I'm not always going to get, visual gratification for that day of training. I'm looking at the long end. Like if I day in and day out work on this, then one day the light bulb's going to go off and it's going to click. And then it's not, I wanted to do this and it didn't do that, so I'm just going to put it up. And not like every single day is you're working towards your end goal.
Gotcha.
To touch on a little bit of that, if you're specifically talking about frustrations and stuff
Yes.
like that, you have to know going in that there's going to be frustrating moments. There's going to be regress. And so you just don't put your emotion on your sleeve, at least visually to the dog and out there with the dog. 2 nights ago, I came inside and, my wife was like, she's like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. She's like, dog disappoints you out there? I'm like, yeah, dog disappoints me out there.
Yep.
And so you take your emotion inside the house. So I don't show too much emotion with the dog as far as like the frustration goes. Obviously, you can use body communication to communicate with that dog when they're doing something wrong and stuff like that. But you can't let your emotions get anger, right? Because then that's whenever that dog wants to please you, and you can actually see a dog start to kind of mentally shut down when they get frustrated because they don't know what they're being asked to do, even though for the past 7 days they've done it for 7 straight days, and then all of a sudden today, you don't know what you're doing. So you can't come off as like anger because they start to shut down because they want to please you. They want to do this. They want to make you happy. So yeah, I would say my wife is my person that I go to vent and calm down.
They're a great resource, man,
They are,
because they're always the ones loving on the pups.
Yeah.
This sweet little thing. How could it do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe a single word you say.
You gotta love this dog.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
So what's the next? What's the outlook look like for this year and upcoming? Is
as far
you're
as like
building
litters goes,
you're building a new whelping center.
Yep.
Or whatever
Yep.
in the South Camp.
Yep. Concrete's going in a couple weeks.
Gotcha.
got a new lodge going in down there. It's going to be like a lodge slash, hold some more dogs down there.
Gotcha.
And then people can come down there and stay the night that want to go on hunts and stuff like that. Because like he said, I went down there this year to go hunting, and it's a different world down there. Like, I grew up in Northwest Missouri, obviously, like you did, where the hunting's phenomenal here. Don't get me wrong, but we have draw-ins, you have leases that are taken. And, the spots to go hunting are dwindling so badly. Like when I was in high school, you could go knock on a farmer's door with a honey baked ham and hunt all season long on a little farm
Right.
pond and just smack the gadwalls all season long. Those spots are disappearing, dramatically. And then, people want $6-8 for a pond that holds 50 ducks a year, so
Right.
where he's from, it's kind of off the beaten path a little bit.
I mean, and it's really, people are starting to find out that Southeast Kansas used to be a little hidden gem.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And of course they show me videos and pictures all the time. I'm like, well, how many ducks did this dog pick up today? And like, this dog picked up 60 birds today. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how many guys were on your hunt? Like a duck hunt and stuff.
Right.
They send me these just massive
Yeah.
pile pics, and I'm just like, holy smokes, I'll have to get down there and hunt this year. And it didn't disappoint. But
Sure.
it reminded me of Kansas City when I was in junior high and high school,
Yeah.
where it was kind of open still. You could go,
Right.
and they knock on doors on.
Okay.
Like Chase was talking, like I almost didn't believe him when I had first met him, and we got on the first name friend basis, and
Yeah.
We were talking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're going hunting. We're leaving at 3:30 tomorrow, and got a 45 to an hour drive." And I'm like, "What?
Where are we going?
Where are you guys going?" He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is the closest spot we got."
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean,
Right.
we can hunt 30 to 40 spots within 10 minutes of us,
Yeah.
and that's just county roads.
Right.
So
But yeah, kind of so some new build outs, just continuing the process and
Yeah.
so you for sure. Well, we got a litter coming up.
Yep. those puppies should hit the ground this weekend.
How long does it take? So those are ones that people can purchase.
Yes.
And then is that the normal, like when does that purchasing take place from birth? How
Well,
far out? Is
you
it
know-
after you've done the,
So if we do like planned pregnancies, so like you have like 8 deposits down on a litter before the litter hits,
gotcha.
or before the breeding even took place.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and people call us up and be like, "Hey, what do you got coming this year?" And then they'll decide what deposit they want to put
Sure.
down on breeding, and we'll be as transparent as we can. I mean,
Yeah.
back to, characteristics of every dog is different. So, this dog has a really good shut off, and this dog has really high drive, and so this is a repeat breeding, and this is what we saw out of the first litter, and so on and so forth. So we really try to get our customer, because some customers want a dog that it's gonna hardly hunt, and
It's
gonna
gonna.
be
I
a
mean, it's
family
gonna
dog.
go on 2 hunts a
So,
year, but it's gonna be a
gotcha.
family dog.
So
Which,
this-
again, we don't produce a lot of those, but
Yeah.
people that call with that, because they still want a nice hunting dog when it comes time to the hunting.
Right.
So it's like, well, this male and this female probably have the best off switch, and we're going to breed them this year. So that might be a good dog for you.
So the litter coming up in May has been spoken for.
8 of
pretty
them have.
much.
8 of them have. But we,
Yeah.
it showed 11. We'll see what pops. So we
Okay.
have a few more openings for that, and we haven't
Gotcha.
gone public with that yet.
Gotcha. No problem. Yeah. Yeah. I like the, I don't know, just the different attitude you guys bring to it just from, it sounds like, the genetic thing and trying to keep those traits, going and going and going. And then when you talk about, your basic gun dog, but it sounds like it's kind of, it's almost finished. Like, your basic gun dog seems like it's up there, right? But it sounds like you guys are doing the right thing, and I know you can just keep it going. I need to come out for a training day just so
Yeah.
I can. Are those once a month or are they sporadic?
So from March to basically October, we try to have one a month.
Gotcha.
And again, weather sometimes
Yeah,
hurts us.
I'll have
But,
to hit you up for one
Yeah.
and come out.
and
So,
it's fun just to, even if you don't have a dog, we have guys come out just to see dogs run. It's
Yeah.
it's fun to see dogs
Yeah.
run. It really is.
Yeah.
So
um,
and then we go have lunch and
Yeah.
go to La Fuente's or something.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And
hey,
that's what I'm in it for.
hey, dogs and Mexican food. I'm in.
Yeah. And sometimes we'll.
I tell the
barbecue
wife
and,
she'll be in the truck before me.
Yeah.
So
The last training day, we said, hey, we're going to go get Mexican. And this guy goes, you care if my wife comes? I got to go pick her up. I said, I don't care if your wife comes. He goes, because if I go to Mexican without her,
My
she's gonna be
relationship
mad."
depends on that.
So,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with him on that. Yeah. Sign me up. So finding you guys, if people are trying to reach you, CWKGundog.com and go in there.
And
Yep.
CWK Gun Dog on all platforms.
You can find you on social media, get a hold of
Instagram,
you that
Facebook,
way.
TikTok.
Yep.
Okay. And then you can find the phone numbers on there for the
Yeah.
South Camp with Davis and then the KC Camp with Chase. Numbers are listed on there as well. Again, that's CWKGundog.com.
CWK_Gun Dogs on Instagram.
There you go.
I just followed them.
So you can
Nice.
find what they got to offer. If you've got questions, that weren't covered or whatever, and you can contact them directly and, ask them whatever you need. And, if you need help, whatever, and maybe join a training day or come check it out or,
Like
whatever.
Chase said,
So
you don't have to have a dog to.
And it's
No.
it's also always good. Like if you're looking to get a dog, go see the parents.
100%.
See what they're like.
And that's why, that's one of the biggest thing about our training days is, you know, a guy that's on the fence. Well, come look at these males. Come look at these females. We're running them this weekend. You know.
Okay.
And that they get to see, and that's huge, right?
And
And
then-
then we have video of all these dogs in the duck blind. So it's like, well, what are you looking for? And we get them video of whatever they need video of, and that way you getting what you want. Versus, you remember when you bought a dog in the '90s in the newspaper and it just said hunting dog because you couldn't put a whole lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Well, when I was, in junior high and stuff, I'm like, Dad, this is a hunting dog. Just
Yeah.
because in the piece
Yeah.
of paper it said hunting dog. It's like,
Right.
you don't even know Mom and Dad. You know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
with technology now, we can be so transparent about what we do have.
Yeah.
And prove it and exactly.
That's awesome.
Go meet the parents.
That's exciting.
See them work.
And you
see
said that the
personalities.
people that buy dogs from you or come from your bloodlines, they visit those training days too. So like if you have a similar litter, they can see what those that cross between the parents would be like.
And that's where it gets really, 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 really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really fun, and to see the characteristics be the same
Mm-hmm.
is just a testament to genetics. But
That's good
you
stuff.
do see some differences though. But it's cool. But usually the differences are, oh, that's how Mom was, or that's how Dad was.
Oh,
It's not like it's
Yeah.
out in the abyss or anything. It's
there's always an
there's a reason
explanation
there
for
for it.
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Specifically, a dog tail wag. Like we have one male that has a certain way he wags his tail, and to see that in his litters is just so funny. So, yeah,
That's good
it's cool.
stuff.
It's cool.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming in, Chase Davis from CWK Gun Dogs.
Well, we appreciate.
But now
you
we
having
could go
us.
have some fun.
Thanks for having. Yeah.
Now we're gonna go out and
This, like I said, this is my
mess with
first
the dogs that
podcast.
came. So
So I was like,
podcast.
it was a good
ever.
time.
what do I do with my hands?
I'm glad you got. Yeah, exactly, exactly. But thanks for taking the time coming out. Again, if you're listening, check them out at cwkgundogs.com. Josh, let everybody know where we can find our podcast and all that fun jazz.
Well, make sure to subscribe if you're already listening. So just hit
That's
the
right.
button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to YouTube. If you're on any other platform, hit subscribe there. Leave us a rating. It helps out quite a bit. We like to hear you guys' rating. Follow us on social medias. We got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Hayden, you
Yeah.
still do anything with Twitter?
A little bit.
Little bit.
getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're bringing
Yeah.
Twitter back.
That's right.
But yeah, pretty much anywhere where you would spend your time on your phone.
Send them questions,
Find
comments,
Roger Sporting Goods.
anything you want to see.
Send it to podcast@rogersportinggoods.com for an email.
Maybe you know someone that wants to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
Hit us up. We'll see you guys. Thanks, guys.
I think it's time for me to go burn all bridges. All I know, I got lost along the way.